All right, week 2. All right, so hopefully last week you kind of got a feel for how everything is laid out on Blackboard and where you can find your assignments. If you're still having trouble with that, if you don't know where to find anything, please let me know. Don't feel like you're bothering me, especially these first 2 weeks when we're not meeting in person. I'm sitting in my office like wishing I had something to do. So seriously, you're not bothering me. Let me know. That's my job. Last week, you had a bunch of intro stuff, some videos to watch to see how everything is set up. And you also watched the Chapter 1 lecture, which was an introduction. So we're going to pick up this week with, and this looks like a lot, it says watch the lecture for Chapters 2, 3, and 4. So let me give you some quick background on that. 2, 3, and 4 is going to be on chemistry and cells and excuse me, and metabolism. Those are things that if you took an intro to biology course, that's what you learned in just like a regular biology. Now, if you haven't, this is stuff we still have to know for anatomy and physiology because your body is made up of cells and chemicals and your body goes through metabolism. So we're required to test you on these things. Now, what some instructors do, I'm not kidding, what some instructors here do is they give their students like a 15-page study guide and say, you need to know this. And like that's all that they do. And that doesn't seem fair to me that you're paying me to be your instructor and I'm just saying, learn this on your own. So I want to go through it with you. So what I did was I made and I said condensed, I made a chapter lecture where I went through all of that material, and if you look in your book, it's a lot of material, and I tried to cram it down to just the stuff that you need to know. It's still pretty long, but it's better than just giving you paper and say learn this, or it's better than like just saying read these probably 100 pages in your book. All right, so I want you to go through the chapter 2, 3, and 4 lecture. Just like last time, there's a PowerPoint, so you can print that off and take notes when you're watching that. What I would also do is just have another sheet of paper out to the side in addition to your notes. And any questions you have, like if we go across a topic and you're not familiar with it, just write down the question and then send me a message and let me know your questions when you're done. I'll be glad to help you out with that a little more. All right. All right. So even though we're not meeting for lab, I've got a lab-like activity that I want you to do. It is body organization. So in a normal semester, when we get to meet the whole time, we would go through the first lab and we would go over like how your body is oriented, the different abdominal regions, the different body regions, like your neck is your cervical region. This is the stuff that we talked about in the Chapter 1 lecture. Since we're not going to meet this week, what I did was I made a video, and I actually made this video for my online class, but I'm just going to share it with you. So watch that video. It's going to go through some of the models that we have in person in our lab where we're going to meet next week. I'm going to go through and point out all those different things in that lab. All right. Now, just a heads up, in last semester when I taught anatomy as an online course, I had an additional lab test that was on body organization and tissues. We're not going to have that lab test this time. So just a heads up, if you're watching the video and I say like you're going to need to know this for the test, for the lab test, we're not going to do a lab test on that material, all right? You do need to know it, though, because this is the stuff we talked about in Chapter 1. So you will need to know that for the lecture material. You won't have to necessarily identify things other than like the body cavities. But you do need to know that material because that's the same stuff we did in the Chapter 1 lecture. All right, so watch that video. There's a PowerPoint you can use to take notes if you want to. And then when you're done, we've got our first Connect assignment that is due by the end of this week. It's going to be due Sunday, January 24th. All right, so the Connect assignments, last week I asked you to watch the video on, I think it was called Using Connect in Biology 201. So if you haven't done that yet, over to the tab to the left, if you'll click on Connect Assignments, at the very top, I've got a video that shows you how we use Connect in this class. All right. There's another quick video that shows you how to sign up for Connect, but if you watch the first video, it'll go through all that. You do have to have a Connect account to complete this assignment. I know I mentioned that last week. If you don't buy Connect, you're not going to be able to do any of the Connect assignments, and those make up a big chunk of points, like over a letter grade's worth of your points are coming from Connect. So you do need to make sure that you have that. If you're still waiting on financial aid or if that's an issue, remember you can sign up for a 2-week trial account for Connect, and that'll get you through this week, but in 2 weeks' time that's going to expire, so you do have to have Connect by then. All right, any questions about that, let me know. But if you'll read through, it tells you the instructions on how to do that. All right, last few things. Any assignments that I gave you last week, so the syllabus quiz, the About Me, the diversity project, all of that, those are all due at the end of this week on Sunday, January 24th. So just make sure that those are completed. And then next week, we're finally going to meet in person. So just a few things on that. You need to pick your lab group. I told you this last week that I'm going to let you pick which day you show up. Half the class is going to show up on Monday. The other half is going to show up on Wednesday. And I'm going to let you choose. Now, when you sign up for Mondays or Wednesdays, that's your day for the whole semester. You can't switch back and forth, all right? So just pick your date. The way that you do that is go to the class discussion. And there's a discussion board there where it's going to let you pick your day, all right? You've got to do that by Monday, I think is the due date that I gave you. If you don't pick your group by then, I'm just going to assign you, and I'm going to tell you which group to go in, all right? And then the other thing is make sure that you review the COVID procedures. I just sent out an announcement like the middle of last week with this information, but just make sure if you haven't done that yet to read through the COVID procedures, and then there's a COVID waiver form that you're going to need to print and sign and bring with you. The college policy is actually that you have to have turned that in order to be on campus. If you don't have it with you the first day, we're supposed to ask you to leave. So bring that with you. I'll have a couple extras if you forget that you can sign in person. If you are under 18, though, you have to have a parent or guardian sign that, so make sure you get that signed and bring it with you. All right, let's go through real quick. You probably read this already, but the COVID procedures, you have to bring that waiver form, number one. Number two, we have checkpoints this semester, so you have to go through the checkpoint to get your temperature screened each time that you come on campus. The new science building, if you haven't seen that yet, it's the big new building that is on Wallace Drive. That's the main road that goes through Gadsden State. So we're on the East Broad campus. We're the East Broad side. So if you know where Wallace Hall is and Allen Hall at the top of the hill, that's the Wallace Drive campus. We're on the opposite side of the road on the East Broad campus. So there's an intersection at the bottom of the hill on Wallace Drive. And the big science building, you can see that from there. You're going to turn towards the science building, and then a few hundred feet up, there's a checkpoint where they're going to screen your temperature. Once you've passed, if you don't have a fever, they'll give you a wristband, and you have to have that wristband with you. They're making us, even though we don't have classes yet, we're having to get wristbands every day. So you got to have that with you and have it on when you come into the building. Right when you walk in the building, there's going to be a sign-in sheet. So just sign your name real quick, and that will they do that for contact tracing. If anyone's positive, that way they know who they need to contact and let them know you're in the building with someone who tested positive. And I think that's about it. We're still under a mask mandate. Gadsden State's policy is still that you have to wear a mask when you're on campus. So make sure you have one of those with you. We are, even though we're going to be spaced and spread out, we're going to keep those on. So you have to have that. All right. I think that is it. I'll go over like where you can find the lab room and everything next week, but just make sure you read through all those and let me know if you have any questions, and I will see y'all next week in person finally. Thanks.